For this video, we're going to look at finding slope from an ordered pair. First, I want to take a look at an ordered pair so that we can refresh on the components and how you even graph one. So let's take a look at this ordered pair, 2, 1. So remember, the x-axis is the horizontal axis and the y-axis is the vertical axis. So for this ordered pair, we always write them as x and y. So for our ordered pair xy, or 2, 1, we're going to go ahead and graph that. And how we do that is we're looking at the graph over on the right-hand side of the screen. We're going to go from the origin, which is where the x and y axis meet right there in the center. We're going to go 2 over, which is our x point, and up 1. So that'll put us right about there. And say we have a second point, 3, 4. So we would go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would give us that point there. So from that line, or we can actually draw a line from that. Sorry about that. We'll go ahead and we will draw the line. It's not going to be very straight because it's a little difficult to draw straight this, but essentially that would be our line. That's what it looks like. So from here, if you can graph it very easily like that, then you could actually find out the slope just from doing the count. However, in this case, we're actually going to use the formula that's set up in order to find slope from two ordered pairs. So we're going to go m equals, and remember, and you'll need this for point slope form as well, but m stands for slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is very similar to how we did rise over run, except now we have a mathematical equation for it. It's essentially the change in y over the change in x. Okay, so looking at that, we can actually plug these numbers in. So our first ordered pair is 2 over 1, or 2, 1, sorry, not 2 over 1. And our second ordered pair is 3, 4. All right, this is important so we can differentiate the right numbers. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Okay, so to plug this in, first we need to take our y2, which is the 4. That is our y2. And actually, why don't we go ahead and we will actually mark those as y2 and y1. That way we can remember which is which. And we'll do that for each of them. We'll mark them as y2 and y1 so that we don't have to worry about confusing them. So let's take that. This is our x1 and our y1, because that's our first ordered pair. And then this is our x2 and our y2. That's our second ordered pair. So from there, we'll actually just plug these numbers into the way that they are formatted in that equation. So m equals, so y2 is going to be 4, and y1 will be 1. So 4 minus 1. x2 is 3, and x1 is 2. So now we can just subtract these out. So 4 minus 1 is 3, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So we have a slope of 3. Now, if you wanted to graph this out to see if you're correct, that is the best way to check your answer. As long as, the numbers aren't super huge. In this case, they are fairly easy to graph. So we already did that at the beginning, so that works out for us. Now we can just count to check our answer. So we go 1, 2, 3 up, and 1 over, and we have our rise over run as 3 over 1, which is the same answer that we got in the equation. So you can kind of see how those two things match up. All right, let's try another problem. And we will, so for this particular problem, we're not going to graph it out before we do it. We're actually going to graph it out after we do it, just so that we're using the graphing to check and not to answer the problem. We just want to get away from using the graphing method and instead focus on using our equation. So we have an ordered pair of 3, 2 and 1, 4. So let's go ahead and look at that. Our y2 is going to be this 4, and our y1 will be the 2. Our x2 will be the 1, and the x1 will be the 3. So let's go ahead and arrange that in the way of the formula so that we can see how it works out. So our y2 is 4 minus our y1, which is 2, over x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is 3. So we'll go ahead and subtract that out. So we have 4 minus 2, which is 2. And then we have 1 minus 3, which is going to be a negative 2. So you've probably guessed by now that we can reduce this. And so we can just actually divide out both of these numbers from each other. So 2 divided by 2 is just going to be a straight negative 1. So our slope should be a negative 1. And we can go ahead and we can graph that now to see if that comes out correct. So we have 3, 2 as our first. So we'll go over 3 from the origin and up 2. That should put our point right about there. And then we have 1 over and 4 up. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll put our line right about here. So let's go ahead and draw our line. All right. And if we're correct, we should be able to go down 1 and over 1 in order to get this to the next point on the line. And we can do that very easily. So in this case, our negative 1 is correct. We go down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1. And each time we do that, we'll hit a new point on the line. So we've matched the equation with the graph. Now you don't need to do the graph every time to check your answer. And sometimes, it'll be very easy just to do the problem, and then you can try to graph it out to make sure you're correct, but you don't need to do it every time. And in fact, for the next few problems, we're not going to do that. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the graph, and we're going to go ahead and put in a new ordered pair. So let's see. Let's do, moving it around. I don't want to do that. Let's do a 2, -1 as our first ordered pair, and a 4, 3 as our other ordered pair. Oops. So what I first want to do is I want to identify what number corresponds with what in the equation, what variable. So this is our first ordered pair, so this is going to be x1, y1. Oops. And this is going to be x2, y2. Okay, so looking at this, we want to look at our equation. So it starts with m equals y2 minus y1. Well, y2 is 3, and y1 is a -1. And then on the bottom we have x2 minus x1. So our x2 is 4 minus x1, which is 2. So then we have 3 minus a -1, which is a 4, and 4 minus 2, which is 2. So then we go ahead and we can divide that out. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have a slope of positive 2. For the next two problems, I would actually like for you to pause and try the problem yourself before watching me solve it. So our next ordered pair is going to be a -2, 2, and a 3, 5. Let me change that there. Into, we'll put it next to it because it's a little easier to figure out from it being arranged this way. We can actually better use the we can find out the arranged or the variables better this way and how they correspond. So let's look at this one. We have for the first ordered pair, this is going to be x1 and y1. And then for the second ordered pair, we're going to have x2, y2. So now we should be able to arrange this fairly easily into the equation. So m equals y2, which is our 5, minus y1, which is our 2. And then on the bottom we have x2, which is 3. Pesky 3s never want to come out correctly. Minus our x1, which is our -2. So in this case, we're going to subtract 5 minus 2, which is 3, and 3 minus -2, which is 5. So we can't really reduce that. It's just going to be a fraction, and that is okay. You will get that quite a bit when you're working with slope, and it's not really an issue. All right, let's look at our next problem, which is going to be 0, -1, and 6, 3. When you start to get larger numbers, if you have like a 15, 7 or a 25, 6, something like that, those get harder to graph. And that's why we're not really going to look at graphing each of these to check. We just don't want to spend too much time trying to graph it out, especially if you're in a testing situation. So let's look at this one. We'll go ahead and label our ordered pairs with the correct variables. So x1, y1, and x2, y2. So on top we have y2 minus y1. So that's going to be 3 minus -1. And on the bottom we have x2 minus x1, which is going to be 6 minus 0. So then we have, we're just going to subtract out. So 3 minus a -1 is actually a 4. And 6 minus 0 is going to remain 6. So we can't really divide this out, but we can reduce it. So we'll just find a number that goes into each of these evenly, and both of these numbers too can go into evenly. So we'll just divide by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So for this particular ordered pair, we have a slope of 2, 3. That is really the gist of finding slope from an ordered pair. It's just really important to remember this equation, because that is going to tell you how to find the ordered, or how to find the slope from the ordered pair. You just have to arrange them into the correct format, and then you subtract out, and then sometimes you can divide at the end to get a simpler answer. And that's really all there is to it. So go ahead and give that some practice. Mathaids.com is a great place to find problems. You can print out a whole sheet of problems. Most of them will probably come out to be fractions, but there's nothing wrong with that. And really, the more you practice with fractions, the better you'll get at them. But that's it. I hope this helped.